Thank you, Gilbert, and thank all of you for allowing me to come here and speak to you. As Gilbert said in his introduction, my name is Chris Larson, and I'm running for a seat on the Yuma High School Governing Board. There are those out there who don't really care who's on a governing board. Schools have been around for a long time. They've been run the same way pretty much for forever. So it doesn't really matter who's on the board. It's just a formality. But we know better. We know that there are some serious problems facing our schools today. More importantly, we know that there are some serious problems facing our students today. And we know that it matters who's in the seat trying to fix those problems. So I'm asking you to put me in one of those seats. And since I'm asking you to do that, it's only right that you should know who I am. First and foremost, I am a Christian. I come from a staunchly Christian family. Amen. I am what is referred to these days as a conservative Christian. I was raised as a Missouri Synod Lutheran. More than that, I was raised by my pastor. My father was ordained when I was about 5 years old. The only life I have ever known is that of the preacher's kid. I believe the Bible to be the inerrant word of God, given to us through the inspired prophets and apostles so that we might know God. I believe the Holy Spirit calls me to believe that Jesus Christ, the only begotten of the Son of the Father, died on the cross to ensure the forgiveness of my sins so that at the final judgment the Father will welcome me into his presence in heaven. My faith and my family are the ground on which my self is built. My father, my earthly father that is, was a great man who did many great things, the greatest of which was serving as an example of how to live a life in service to others. Whenever we spoke of professions, jobs, employment, or other references of earning an income, the conversation was never really about the earning of the income. It was always about how the job was a means of serving the people that need that job performed. Even when I was working at McDonald's, I was not just cashing a paycheck. I was helping hungry people get food. Not great food, but food. All right? Service to others didn't end when you punched a time card at the end of a shift either. Most people have to be convinced to stop and help someone on the side of the road change a tire. I have to be convinced not to stop. If you have the skill, knowledge, and time to help others, it is your responsibility to do just that. This is what my father taught me, and this is what I strive to do. My family is not only a Christian family, it's a Marine family. Hoorah! My father, two of my uncles, my brother, myself, and my son have all served as some of the few and the proud. One of the tenets of the Marine Corps is that you always leave a place better than you found it. This continues to be a rule by which I live. The Marine Corps is what brought me to Yuma. I must admit to being significantly less than excited to be coming here. While I was a child, my family had trekked through here every summer on our way to visit relatives in California. I knew Yuma to be the place where you stopped for gas in the middle of a very hot desert so you wouldn't run out of gas in the middle of a very hot desert. As an adult living here, though, I was able to get away from the interstate and experience Yuma in all its glory. I now proudly admit to loving Yuma. My siblings all settled in Southern California, and they can keep it. Yuma is my kind of people. This is where I belong. God knew what he was doing when he sent me here. This is where I met my wife and married her 33 years ago. We bought a house and made it our home by filling it with 3 amazing kids. One of my sons made his home right around the corner with his wife and my 2 granddaughters. They refer to the girls as their daughters, but we all know the truth. They're my granddaughters. My service to others has taken many forms professionally, the most consistent of which has been through education. I said my family was a Marine family. It might be more accurate to say we're a teaching family. Of my parents, my 5 siblings, their spouses, and my wife, we have all been or currently are in professions that involve teaching as either a primary or secondary duty. We're teachers, professors, pastors, professional mentors. Even after retirement, my parents and older siblings have found ways to continue this type of service. When asked how long I've been a teacher, I've often said, I've been a teacher for as long as I can remember. I've only been being paid for it for the last 25 years. This is what brings me to you tonight. Over the last 54 years, I have seen the problems in our schools up close and personal. First, I saw them as a child while I was a student. Then I saw them as a parent of students. Most recently, I've seen them as a teacher of students. As a child, I didn't understand the problems. As a parent, I didn't know how to solve the problems. And as a teacher, I didn't have the power to address the problems at all. Now I understand them. Now I know how to solve them. Now I need you to give me the power to address them. I wish I could tell you what I will do to fix everything. Unfortunately, not everything will be within my authority to fix. I will be only one of 5 governing board members. And we all know the system well enough to know that I won't be able to get everything to happen the way I believe it needs to happen. But what I can do is I can tell you my guiding principles. And I can promise you that every decision I make and plan I propose will be grounded in those guiding principles. Since I can't predict the issues that I will face while on the board, nor the details of any anticipated issues, it wouldn't be wise to try to debate any of them in any hypothetical manner. But we can consider any issue in light of my guiding principles to get a sense of what to expect. So first, school districts are school districts and parents are parents. For far too long, schools have been taking on the role of parents. From personal experience, I can attest to how easy it is to start feeling fatherly, or for women teachers, motherly, towards your students. Then when you see what you consider to be a failure in parenting, you're tempted to fix it. Now, my son and daughter-in-law are doing a fantastic job raising my granddaughters, but I don't agree with everything that they're doing. It's important that I don't interfere with their rights and responsibilities as parents, though. The children need to know who their parents are and who is the authority in their lives. So I stay in my lane and out of theirs. And schools need to do the same thing. Our kids, all of the kids, need to know that their parents are their parents, and their parents are in charge of their lives, not the schools. And the schools need to know that as well. So I want to make sure that happens. The purpose of a school district is to educate the students in the content required of them. The purpose is not to get students to have high grades or even to get students to graduate. What? It's true. It is true that if you educate the students, they will get high grades and they will graduate, which is fantastic. But if you make it your purpose to get students to graduate, you'll find there's a lot of ways to get students to get high grades that have nothing to do with education. Which is why we have had decades worth of students graduating our schools with absolutely no evidence that they've been educated. When I'm driving my truck, my trailer will follow me wherever I go. If education is our purpose, high grades and graduations will follow. So education needs to be our purpose. While education is the purpose of our schools, the school district's priority is the safety of the students. Number one priority of any teacher is the students are safe. The school district as a whole is the same. Nothing good ever happens when people are in fear of harm. They can't learn, they can't socialize, they can't move. In order for schools to fulfill their purpose of education, they must ensure the protection of their students first. It's easy for everyone to agree that students should be protected from outside threats. There should never be any physical injury inflicted at a school. The confusion comes when protecting one student's emotional or mental health might conflict with protecting the emotional and mental health of another student. In cases like these, it becomes necessary to consider other factors. How many students could be harmed on one side of the idea or the other? Is there some way to mitigate the harm to any of those students? Is there some way to avoid the circumstance altogether? This is when communication and problem-solving skills become vital. Did I mention how good I am at communicating and problem-solving? I'm very passionate and excited about being your high school governing board member. So much so that I could talk all night about it, but I've already taken up a lot of your time. And I want to hear from Sheriff Lamb myself. So if you have any questions, I do have a little extra time, more time than I prepared for here, so according to Gilbert. So if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them. Yes?
What do you believe is the most salient problem facing a member of the board that you're running for right now?
There's a long list. I know that the bathroom issue is an issue. Unfortunately, with what has been done with that on the board so far, that's going to be hard to bring up again until other things happen. Education of the students, the actual performance of the students is always going to be an issue until that gets fixed. There needs to be more choice for the students in how they're educated. We have one model and we follow that model regardless of what student is, how it's working for a student. As a board member, logistically, there's members of the board that say one thing and vote other ways. So that's going to be hard to deal with. And for me personally, it's going to be learning. I haven't been on a school board before. So I'm going to have to figure out the ins and outs of how things work and then figure out how to get my guiding principles to move things along in the right direction. I don't know if I could pick one, but I think that's where my mind's at right now. Anything else? Any other questions? Yes.
Does your job description include organizing the leaders of the school, the student body leaders, the kids that are to help you help them?
No, the school board has one employee, the superintendent. The superintendent is in charge of everything else. So our duty in that sense is to pick a superintendent that will be able to do the things that we need done. And if they're not doing the things that need to be done, getting rid of them and getting one that will. So the board's power in that respect is indirect, but it's still relevant. Yeah. Yeah.
So the governing board has authority over the superintendent. Who has the control of the curriculum? Because it is coming through some way to be given to the children. It is not being revealed to the parents. That's the biggest problem right now.
Okay. The state sets certain requirements for what needs to be taught. The curriculum that is used would be, there's always curriculum committees that are always looking at what specific way the content should be taught, and that would be set up by the superintendent. So as a governing board, we can influence the superintendent, say we would like this or this or this, not this specific curriculum or that specific curriculum, but we can say these are the things we want in the curriculum, these are the things we don't want in a curriculum, and then the superintendent would be in charge of fulfilling those mandates.
I know in the past they have snuck a DEI into different curriculums. Once they find out it's in this subject, they find another way to put it into another subject. What can you do about that to make sure that a lot of this curriculum is researched properly, other than, I know there's a lot of...
Yeah, that's, the problem is not everybody on a curriculum committee cares enough to get into that much detail. And so it would come to the point where if it was a bad enough choice in the curriculum, we could tell the superintendent, your job is at risk here, and they can do something about it. But in anything in life, sometimes there's compromises, and you're like, yeah, I don't really like this particular part of the curriculum, but it's not as big enough an issue to take that drastic measure. But we could, if it's a big enough of an issue. That is something that the board would have power over. Now, again, there's 5 members of the board, so we would need to have 3 of us in agreement to make any kind of move like that.
High school board?
I'm going for the high school board. So is Mr. Stoner that was here.
No, Mr. Stone's going District 1.
Oh, Stoner's District 1. Who was? No.
I believe you're the only one that I know of. Mr.
No.
Navarro's going District 1.
Yeah, there's a couple more of us. I thought it was Stoner.
So
No, yeah,
right
but
now,
you're right,
how many
he is.
conservatives are there on the school board?
Yeah, that. Remember when I said some people are saying one thing and voting another way? So
John said no.
yeah, it's not entirely easy to make that list. There's 2 definite liberals, 2 definite conservatives. One doesn't take as much action as they should, and the other one is the 5th member is saying one thing, doing the other. But all but the 2 definite liberals are up for grabs right now. So if we can get the 3, and there's, I don't remember who the other guy's name is, but there's 3 of us running.
For the girl, her last name I think is Jones. Isn't she conservative?
Shelley Miller.
Shelley Mellon.
Mel.
No, she's not running.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing. Some people are saying they're running again, and some people, but we haven't seen them getting signatures or anything. So I don't know. I can't speak to other people's campaigns. So,
Okay.
Anybody else?
any other questions? Yes.
What do you do about this, they call it gender sensitivity, or teaching these, basically they're training these kids to switch their gender out?
Yeah. Well, I would go to the first guiding principle I mentioned and contact the parents. I know there's a lot of schools that are saying, hey, we have to protect the welfare of the kids, and at home they're going to be brutalized if their parents find out, so we can't tell the parents. That is absolutely false. Parents have to be involved. If the parents are involved, then it's on them. You know, one way or the other, they're in charge of their child. And no matter how much I might disagree, if they're letting the child down this path, the parent is the parent, and I can't alter that.
Can you
But-
stop them from teaching this stuff in the schools?
Well, that would be the curriculum issue, and that would be something that would be at the level of, superintendent, your job's on the line. So, that's the kind of thing that we would go there.
Okay. Just one
Yeah,
more
we
question.
have-
My question is, my question is, so if they are adamant on teaching these foolery, could we now, as parents,
Yes.
withdraw our children from?
Yes, you can.
those
Oh, yeah.
classes?
Yeah, and I'm working the other side of the coin right now myself. I'm trying to promote ESA and alternative education. I'm actually trying to open a school of my own, which we need much more of. We need many more alternatives for our students, not just for the issues that we're talking about here with the transgenders but for the education purposes. My first thought when I first thought about getting into alternative education was the ADHD kids. It has nothing to do what your religious viewpoints are, or if there's any transgenders going on.
Bipolar disorder.
Or these kids aren't being serviced by the public school system. They have one model in the public school system. If you don't fit that model, we'll dope you up as best we can, and we're going to try to make it work. And it just doesn't work. There are other alternatives, and the more we can get people saying we are not in agreement with what you're doing here, we're going to go over here. The better it's going to be for everybody.
The big thing here in Arizona,
Yeah.
is that we have a big homeschooling, here in Arizona. All you can do is you go down to the superintendent's office, pull your kid, say that you're gonna homeschool your kid, and then you can, either research the curriculum that you wanna do, or you can go through a computer-based program. There's tons of them out there.
Right.
But at the same time, there's an ESA program here in the state of Arizona that helps supplement homeschooling parents to.
And it's
pay
under
for
attack.
education. The governor is against that because she wants that money going out, because ESA programs are getting $7,000 a year, while public schools are spending $12,000 to $14,000 a year. Per student, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Homeschoolers are getting a better education, but they want that money, because it's taken away from the schools, the teachers, whatever you wanna call it. You know, there's commercial on TV that public school teachers spend $500 a year out of their own pocket because they can't get enough money as well. But yeah, homeschooling here in Arizona is a big thing, and I personally, my wife and I, we homeschool our kids for years.
And for no, you know, biases, I'm not against teachers. What I'm against is the false, you know, things that they're
Yep.
teaching, the
It's
lies.
indoctrination.
Yeah, the indoctrination that they're feeding the children, right? And I'm all about alternatives. Do you
Well,
understand?
we gotta get going.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Alright.
it's,
Sheriff Lamb
yeah.
I want to hear what he has to say too. So
Let's give him a hand. Oh, by the way,
thank you very much.
so everybody can hear, Mr. Larson, you are invited this Saturday